Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, we live in a world plagued by uncertainty. Headlines scream crisis. Voices around us echo doubt. Fear is marketed like a product, sold on every screen, spoken from every platform, and spread like wildfire in our communities. But today I came with an announcement from eternity. Don't fear. Your future is in God's hands. Every generation faces moments that shake them, moments when the future seems uncertain, when fear creeps in like a shadow trying to veil the light of purpose. But let me remind you today, fear is not your inheritance. Anxiety is not your portion. Doubt is not your identity. You were not created to live in reaction. You were born to walk in revelation. You are not a mistake trying to find meaning. You are not a number in a system. You are not a statistic to be shuffled around by culture, economy, or politics. You are a divine idea released into time by eternity. God didn't start with your birth. He started with your purpose. You were born because there was something that needed to be done, that required your presence. That means your future is not determined by chance. It is secured by your assignment. Purpose is the foundation of your future. When God created you, He finished you before He formed you. He concluded your destiny before your body ever began. That's why no circumstance you face today can cancel the calling on your life. The storms may rise, the winds may howl, and the world may look like it's falling apart, but heaven is not in a panic. God is not having emergency meetings about your life. He's not scrambling to adjust the plan. What looks like uncertainty to you is already written in the blueprint of your purpose. The enemy knows he cannot destroy your future, so he aims to distort your perspective. And the most effective weapon he uses is fear. Fear is a paralyzer. Fear freezes what faith was meant to activate. It silences dreams, shrinks vision, and blinds you to the resources God already placed within you. That's why Scripture repeatedly says, fear not. Not because danger doesn't exist, but because God is greater than danger. Not because pain won't come, but because pain cannot stop the promise. Faith does not deny reality, it transcends it. Faith acknowledges the storm, but walks on water anyway. Faith looks at a closed door and sees divine redirection, not rejection. You don't need to see the whole staircase. Just take the step that's in front of you. Trust isn't about knowing everything. It's about knowing the one who knows everything. You don't need all the answers when you're connected to the one who is the answer. Your future is not something you chase. It's something you carry. It's not out there somewhere in the fog of tomorrow. It's within you right now. The dreams you've been holding, the visions that won't leave your spirit, the burdens that keep waking you up at night, those are signals of destiny. They are not accidents. They are echoes of eternity, calling you to manifest what heaven already finished. That's why you can't afford to give up. You can't afford to fold under pressure. The seed inside of you is too valuable to die in the soil of fear. You were not planted to wither. You were planted to produce. You were designed by intention, formed with strategy, and positioned in this generation on purpose. Everything about you, your background, your experiences, your gifts, was orchestrated to fulfill an eternal agenda. And if God took the time to invest all of that into you, then surely He's not going to abandon you halfway. Listen carefully. Delay is not denial. Closed doors are not curses. When things fall apart, it's often because they were never built on purpose to begin with. Sometimes God has to interrupt your plans to protect His purpose. What you call rejection, He calls redirection. What you call a breakdown, He's using as a setup for breakthrough. You're not failing, you're unfolding. Like a seed in the dark, your process doesn't always look like progress, but purpose is still at work. Your job is not to figure everything out. Your job is to stay connected to the source of your assignment. When you stay rooted in God, you don't fear the future. You frame it. You speak life into it. You declare what God has already decreed. Fear speaks what it sees. Faith speaks what it believes. You may not see the way forward, but your Father holds the map. You may feel alone, but He promised never to leave you. You may be facing impossible odds, but God has never lost a battle. He does not abandon what He designs. He does not forsake what He forms. If He started it, He will finish it. If He called you, He will sustain you. God is not surprised by your situation. He's already authored your solution. Your crisis is not a crisis in the kingdom. What shakes you doesn't shake heaven. Fear is the enemy's weapon to paralyze your potential. Fear is not just an emotion. It's a strategy. It's a spiritual virus that infects your perspective until you no longer see possibilities, only problems. It doesn't attack your body, it targets your belief. Because if the enemy can cripple your belief, he can control your behavior. And if he controls your behavior, he can cancel your assignment. Fear cancels faith. And where there is no faith, there can be no future. The enemy doesn't need to steal your dream, he just needs you to doubt it. He knows that the moment you stop believing, you stop retreating, you stop building, you stop praying, you stop speaking life, you stop expecting. And that's all he wants. He doesn't need to destroy you if he can convince you to sit down and do nothing. But let me tell you something powerful. Fear is not from God. The spirit you carry is not one of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. That means you have the authority to cast fear down, to rebuke every lie, to reject every whisper that says, you're not enough, it won't work, you're too late, you've gone too far. The devil is a liar, and he is terrified of you discovering who you really are. Because the truth is, you were born for a divine assignment. You were not born just to exist, pay bills, and die. You were not put on this earth just to survive. You were not a wandering soul hoping to find significance. No. You were sent. You were deployed. You were released by the King of Heaven with an assignment wrapped in your DNA. Your future is secured by purpose, not chance. It is not left to the winds of luck or the decisions of men. It is governed by the intention of God. And that purpose, your assignment, is what keeps you alive. That's why the accident couldn't kill you. That's why the sickness couldn't take you. That's why the heartbreak didn't break you. You're still here because purpose is stronger than pain. Purpose is the master of time. Time is not your enemy. It is your servant. And if you're still breathing, your assignment isn't finished. That means no matter how old you are, how far you've fallen, or how long you've waited, God is not done with you. Don't measure your purpose by your paycheck. Don't judge your assignment by your current condition. Purpose isn't defined by how things look. It's defined by what God said. You are a carrier of something eternal. The world may not recognize it. People may overlook it. But heaven knows exactly who you are. And when you walk in that truth, fear loses its grip. Doubt loses its power. Because purpose gives you the courage to stand in the fire and say, even if I don't see the outcome, I trust the one who gave me the vision. Fear is the enemy's weapon to paralyze your potential. He's not fighting you because of where you are, he's fighting you because of where you're going. He sees the seed of destiny inside you. He sees the calling, the capacity, the impact that you don't even fully understand yet. And so what does he do? He uses fear like a cage. He whispers lies to convince you that you're not qualified, that you're not worthy, that your past disqualifies your future. But let me tell you something loud and clear. Fear is a liar, and your future is too important to bow to it. The enemy doesn't have to destroy your life if he can destroy your belief. Because if he can stop your belief, he can block your obedience. And if you stop moving forward, he doesn't have to push. You've already parked. That's why fear is dangerous. Fear convinces capable people to stay small. It causes leaders to shrink. It makes pioneers play it safe. It makes world changers settle for normal. Fear cancels faith. You cannot walk by faith and live in fear. They cannot coexist. Faith says, I believe what God said even if I don't see it. Fear says, I believe what I see more than what God said. That's why the enemy tries to flood your life with fear, because fear flips your focus. It pulls your eyes off of the promise and puts them on the problem. And whatever you focus on, you feed. Whatever you magnify, you empower. And where there is no faith, there can be no future. Why? Because faith is the bridge that takes you from where you are to where God called you to be. Faith is the currency of heaven. Without it, you cannot transact with your destiny. Without it, you can't access what's already yours. That's why Hebrews says, without faith, it is impossible to please God. Not because he's demanding, but because he's already delivered the future. And faith is how you pick it up. Some of you are waiting on God to do something, but God is waiting on you to believe again. He's waiting on you to trust again, to speak again, to dream again. Fear may have delayed you, but it doesn't have the power to deny you unless you give it permission. So today I challenge you. Fire fear from its job. It's been acting as your counselor, your advisor, your decision maker for far too long. It's time to let faith rise up and take its place. Faith that says, if God said it, I believe it. Faith that doesn't need evidence to obey. Faith that walks into a storm knowing the wind still answers to God. You are not led by fear, you are led by faith. And faith is not a feeling, it's a decision. It's a discipline. It's a lifestyle. And when you walk in faith, you unlock the future that God already wrote with your name on it. God never reacts. He only fulfills. He is not scrambling. He is not adjusting. He is not watching your life unfold and trying to make last-minute plans. No. He is the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. He does not guess, he governs. He does not improvise, he implements. And he never speaks without already having the end in mind. Your life is not random. It may have looked messy, unpredictable, or out of control at times, but there is a divine blueprint behind it all. God is not writing your story as he goes. He's revealing what's already written. You are not a mistake. You are not a coincidence. You are not a reaction to circumstances. You are the result of intention. You were conceived in the mind of God before you were formed in your mother's womb. That means your future is not being created, it's being uncovered. You're not chasing purpose, you're discovering it. That's why things that didn't make sense before are going to start falling into place. That's why doors that closed in one season will open in another. Not because God changed his mind, but because the time has come for fulfillment. He is not trying to figure things out, he's working out what he already finished. That's why the Bible says he works all things together for the good of those who love him. Not some things, all things. That means your pain, your delays, your disappointments, your detours, he already factored them in. Heaven is not in a panic over what happened to you. Your story is still in God's hands. And he's faithful to fulfill every promise he made. When God gives a vision, he already sees the provision. When he gives you an assignment, he already sees the assistance. He's not surprised by your weakness. He's not shocked by your struggle. Because even your limitations are part of the plan. He uses the broken to reveal his glory. He uses the unqualified to demonstrate his power. So don't fear the unknown. God already knows. Don't fear the outcome. He's already in it. Your job is not to understand everything. Your job is to trust the one who does. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to believe that the one who began a good work in you will complete it. You are not waiting on God to make something up. You are waiting on God to bring something forth. Your future is not ahead of you, it's trapped inside of you. You're not chasing your destiny, you're carrying it. You're not running toward purpose, you're revealing it. God didn't place your future in the hands of people. He didn't hide it in your bank account, your job title, or your surroundings. He hid it inside of you. You are a vessel of vision, a container of calling, a carrier of something eternal. You see, we've been trained to look outward, to chase opportunities, to follow trends, to seek validation from outside voices. But destiny does not come from without. It flows from within. Your assignment was encoded into your spirit before you ever had a resume, before you had a reputation, before you had experience. That means you don't need permission to become who you already are. You just need the courage to release what's been buried under fear, insecurity, and doubt. Destiny is not what you're trying to reach. It's what you're trying to release. The journey is not about becoming. It's about unlocking. And the enemy knows it. That's why he attacks your identity. That's why he tries to bury you in comparison, in rejection, in failure. Because if you ever realize who you are, you become unstoppable. There is a future inside of you that is waiting for your agreement. A purpose that's not waiting on the right time but the right belief. Heaven is not confused about your assignment. The real question is, will you believe what God put in you, even when what's around you doesn't look like it yet? Will you speak what He said, even when no one else sees it? You are pregnant with potential. The enemy is not after your past. He's terrified of your future. He doesn't fight you because of what you've done. He fights you because of what you're carrying. Because if you ever release what's inside of you, systems will change, generations will shift, chains will break. So stop looking for your future in places God never assigned it to. Stop chasing what you were born to carry. You don't need to go out and find purpose. You need to look within and unlock it. Your future is not in the hands of a system, a boss, or a platform. It is in the hands of God and hidden inside of you. When you walk in that revelation, you stop striving and start aligning. You stop begging for approval and start releasing what God already approved. Because the greatest discovery you'll ever make is not what's out there. It's what's been in you all along. When you trust God's hands, you surrender to His plan. Trust is not just a feeling. It's a posture. It's a decision to rest in the sovereignty of God, even when the strategy is unclear. When you trust His hands, you don't have to manipulate the outcome. You don't have to control the process. You don't have to carry what only heaven can handle. Trust says, God, I may not see it, but I believe you're holding it. And if He's holding it, you don't have to fear losing it. Surrender is not weakness. Surrender is wisdom. It's saying, Lord, I yield my way for yours. I release my timeline for your timing. I give up the illusion of control for the security of your sovereignty. Because when you trust His hands, you understand He's not just the creator of your life, He's the architect of your future. You stop striving and start aligning. You stop hustling for favor and start walking in grace. You stop trying to make everything happen and start moving at the pace of obedience. Striving wears you out. Aligning builds you up. Striving says, it's all up to me. Aligning says, God already made a way. I just need to walk in it. You don't have to push your way into purpose. You have to position yourself. And that happens through trust. That happens through alignment. Because the moment you step into alignment with His plan, acceleration begins. Doors open that no man can shut. Opportunities chase you down. What used to take years will take months. What used to be delayed will be delivered, not because you're doing more, but because you're finally aligned with the author of your destiny. Faith is not passive. It is partnership with divine design. Faith is not sitting on the sidelines waiting for God to do it all. Faith says, Lord, I'll move when you speak. I'll build what you've shown me. I'll obey even when I don't understand the outcome. Faith is action. Faith is motion. Faith is the evidence that you believe God enough to walk with him, even when the path is still unfolding. You were never created to live by striving. You were created to live by trusting. And when you fully trust the hands of God, you will discover a peace that surpasses understanding and a confidence that cannot be shaken. Because you will know, my life is not random. My steps are ordered. My future is not uncertain. It is secure in the hands of the one who wrote it. So I declare to you today, don't fear. Your future is in God's hands. You are not a victim of chance. You are not a casualty of circumstance. You are a product of divine intention. Heaven is not uncertain about you. God is not anxious about your tomorrow. The same hands that formed the stars, the same hands that stretch the heavens like a curtain, are the same hands holding your life. Firm, steady, unshaken. Fear is not your master. It is a liar. It is the enemy's weapon to paralyze the greatness that God has hidden in you. But today, you make a decision not to be led by fear, but to be fueled by faith. Because where faith stands, fear must flee. And where faith rises, your future begins to unfold. God is not reacting, he's fulfilling. He is not guessing, he is governing. Your life is not being made up as you go. It's being revealed as you trust. You are not on earth to find your future. You were born to release it. Everything you need is already in you, because everything God does, he finishes before he starts. So stop striving. Stop hustling for approval. Stop chasing what God already placed within you. Align with the assignment. Surrender to the design. And trust the hands that wrote your destiny before time began. You are not late. You are not lost. You are right on schedule for what heaven has declared over your life. And if God is holding your future, then no man, no system, no devil in hell can stop what he has ordained. Walk boldly. Speak confidently. Dream without limits. Because your future is not in the economy, not in politics, not in circumstances. Your future is in God's hands. And in his hands, your best is not behind you. It's waiting to be revealed. So go forth, not in fear, but in faith. Not in panic, but in purpose. Not in doubt, but in divine confidence. Because the one who began it will finish it. Amen.